Hi guys, and welcome to this Python workshop. It's less of a workshop and more of a tutorial. I was looking for fun, quick, small projects in Pygame a game and came across a typing game that I felt like sharing with you guys. So this workshop is not going to be necessarily focused on learning Python in the sense of getting familiar with the syntax and being told what everything is and what it does. It's going to be more of a follow along tutorial. There is going to be links below for the previous workshop that we did in Python in the club. That way, if you want to freshen up on your Python skills or just want to learn Python and how to do things in Python, you can refer to that link. Also, the source code will be there as well. There is some bugs with it, so that's a disclaimer, and we're gonna fix those bugs in this tutorial here. So the first thing you want to do is we need to install Pygame. So you want to open your command prompt because I'm using Windows. It could be your Linux shell or your Mac shell. I think it's Bash. And what you want to type in is pip install Pygame. That's it. As you can see, yours is going to look a little bit different than mine because I already have it installed, but that simple command will install it for you. You also want to make sure that you have Python installed, obviously. If you don't have pip installed to install Pygame, or you don't have Python, refer to a different tutorial that will teach you that. We are not going to necessarily cover that in this tutorial here. So now what we want to do is we want to create a folder. I already created a folder here called Typing Game in Python. It's empty, there's nothing in it. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get a couple of images. Our typing game is going to have a background. It's going to have a loading screen. And it's going to have an image that we're going to turn into an icon to reset the instance of the game and allow the person to restart the game by pressing that button. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our browser. As you can see, I was already looking up space backgrounds, but I want to find one that's a JPEG. So let's see this one. Let's go ahead and save it. Save as. And I'm already in that folder. Let's do space background. And save. Alright, cool. So now we need a loading screen. Since we're in space, I did spaceship. And as you notice, all my searches, all my queries, they have the word free in them, just for copyright purposes or whatnot. Alright, so this one looks pretty cool. Again, these images can be anything you can think of. Just make sure they're in a JPEG to avoid formatting issues. They can be PNG as well. Refer to the for the Pygame documentation to know what formats are supported. So, oh, perfect. So we'll call this loading screen or loading ship, I guess, because it's a ship. So let's save that. And then now we need our icon for our reset button. So for that, it can be like an astronaut or maybe a keyboard since this is a typing game. So let me look up free keyboard. Mechanical keyboard. Oh my goodness, can't type today. Okay, if I put free, it might not pop anything up, so let's just do mechanical keyboard. And hopefully we use an image that's not gonna get us in some copyright trouble. I mean, this is just a little small tutorial. I doubt it's going to do anything. So what I'm looking for is I'm just looking for a keyboard, preferably with a black background. Okay, let's do this one. Or RGB lighting. Save image as. It's called dims, huh? Let's put keyboard icon. Oh, and it's a JPEG. Perfect. All right, so we're done with that. Now let's go over to our command line. You can do this however you like. I like using MinGW64 because it allows me to use Linux-like commands instead of Windows. As you can see, I'm already inside my directory. In the previous club Python workshop, we used Atom as our text editor of choice. So you can use any text editor or IDE that you desire. But I just like using Atom because I noticed that when I'm recording these screen captures, it's really vibrant and it's very easy to read. So we'll do Atom, and we're going to name this typing game, I guess. Typing game .py. Where to go? Sorry, again, I have two monitors, so sometimes it pops up on a different one. Okay, cool. So now that we're here, the very first thing we obviously need to do is import Pygame. After that, we got to import the system module, import the time module, and import random. Reason being is because we're going to have a file with random sentences or words, and we want to pick those in random order so that every game experience can be slightly different. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define a class, and we're going to call this game just for the sake of convention. You can add a doc string, that's always a good habit. So main window and game parameters, because that's what's going to go in here. Okay, cool. So we're going to do our constructor, and again, you can watch the club's previous Python workshop and really get a little bit more knowledge and in-depth descriptions of everything that we're going to be using here. So we have our constructor, our self keyword. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to declare a width for the window. All right. So we'll have it 750 and our height. Next, we're going to have a Boolean called reset. I'll set this to true. And then another Boolean called activate, what equals false. I have a variable called input text. We'll have that as empty. And then another one for our words. We'll have that one empty as well. And here's where the time module will begin to shine. We'll have a variable called start, time start. And we'll set this to a value of 0. And 1 for total time. So the reason why all these variables have the keyword self right before them is because they're part of the constructor. In every instance of this object, we wanted to have these things as requirements. Again, if you reference the previous tutorial for the club in Python, you'll get these concepts explained to you a little better. Okay, so now we're going to have another one called accuracy. And this is for the user to see how many errors they made. All right, not errors, but like a percentage. And we'll have that formula down the road in the program. Self.results. And this is going to be a string that just kind of gives the user just different parameters, a little information on their performance, and then words per minute. And then now we need that variable for words per minute. And then now we check if the game is ended. We'll equal that to false. Okay. So now what's next is, let me put some comments in here, that way you guys can reference it a little bit better. So this is the color of the title that's going to appear in our window. And we'll set this to an RGB value. We can change these later, but for now, try to be 4, and I try to make it like pretty bright colors, that is. So got that color. And then this one is going to be the color of the sentence that is going to be displayed from the file. This one's going to be self.text _C. The C stands for color. That's just for our reference. I'll go ahead and do this 251 146. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is the color of results. So color of the end game message, self.result _C for color. And again, this RGB value is arbitrary. You can have it set to whatever you desire. Something that looks nice, Also, if you have a different background, I went with the space theme just because it's very generic. Have fun with it. Change it around. Just Google RGB color code or RGB color picker, and yeah, just have fun with it. So pygame.init, and this is again our constructor. And when we construct our game, we're going to probably go into our loading screen. Right. So now we have to have an image for our loading screen. The keyword here is Pygame, or the keywords is Pygame image load. And here's where the name of our files come into play. So let's see, here it is. Loading ship. That was the name. I believe you have to put in the format as a suffix. Okay, so now we're going to reference the variable again, but this time we're going to transform it. And all that transform does is it's just a fancy way of scaling the image. But here's one of the bugs that we had to fix, that we're going to fix from the source code. So we're saying that this image, we want to scale it to a certain value. But that certain value has to be a valued pair. And this is where our window parameters come in handy. Okay, so we're going to scale it to the width, and we're going to scale it to the height of the window. Okay, that looks good. Actually, I'm missing this right here. There we go. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, cool. It's counting our parentheses. Okay. So now we need a background image, right? And as you guessed it, we're going to do the same exact thing. I like to type things out instead of copying and pasting. But actually, instead of open image, let's name this one background, BG for short. And same thing, image dot load. Ooh, typo right here, huh? Loading ship. Okay. So now for our background, we just called it space background. Gotta love those generic, easy to remember names. Space background dot JPEG. And then just as before, we are going to scale it by transforming it. Background. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys, I'm using a 40% mechanical keyboard, which is ortholinear. So whenever I switch back from a traditional QWERTY to this, it kind of like takes me a little bit to get used to it. So sorry for all the typos. So now we need self.w, self.h. Okay, so what's next? Now we're going to actually have the window image and title size. And what that's going to be is self.screen equals Pygame dot display dot set mode. Right. Size equals self.w, comma, self.h. Pygame.display set caption. And this is whatever title you want to be displayed during the instance of the game. So I'm just going to write typing in space. Why not? All right, cool. So that was our first function called definition in Python. So let's go ahead and minimize this. That way it's easier for us to follow the indentation. Now we're going to have to help our functions, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do definition draw text. Self-explanatory, something that takes in everything as a parameter to run an instance of the game. Okay, so this one's going to be the font for the letters. You can look up the documentation and change the font if you wish so. But I'm just gonna go with the stock font. Okay, now we're going to render font onto the window. And for that, what we're going to do is our variable text, font.render. Sorry about that, I had to do something really quick. So where were we? Font.render. Okay, message, because that's the thing we're going to be rendering. Number 1, color, because we're only rendering one message. User input would be next, the rectangle for the user input. So we'll name that text rectangle, text.getRectangle. And we want the rectangle in the center. And here we want to make it scale to half the size of the width. But these 2 slashes mean floor division. And the reason why you want floor division is because you want a whole number, an integer, as a value, because it'll throw an error if you have a float. That's another bug that how to work out. Okay, so now screen.blit, and what that means is every time the screen refreshes, text and text rectangle are going to get re-rendered. And now we refresh the screen by calling pygame.display.update. All right. That's now to our next function. This one's going to be called getSentence. All right. Self, because it's part of the class. But now what we got to do is we got to actually make a file with sentences in it. So let's do that. Okay, I'm in a directory. Gonna use Vim. I don't know. We'll call it sentences for game.txt. All right, for insert, and we'll say, hello, how is it going? I don't know, what's another sentence? You know what, let's do it, I don't know if we'll get an error if we, because I believe the game is case sensitive. So, because the way the game's going to work is that it's going to check that the user typed in a complete string that matches 1-to-1 with what was displayed on the screen, aka what's in this file. So to make it easier on our players, we're not going to necessarily make them capitalize random letters. If you like, go for it. You can try it out. So, hello, how's it going? Next sentence is going to be like, your PC is slow. RIP, right? Warzone is a huge memory taking parasite. Love me some Warzone though. And then what about League of Legends is toxic. I mean, it really isn't. It's probably just me being toxic, but. Ooh, here's a good one. Join the CSE club. Awesome sentence, right? Okay, so escape. Right, quit. Let's make sure that our words are in there. Cool. All right, so we called it sentences for game.txt. So what we're going to say is get sentence from file, and then f open, because we're going to open the file. Sentences for game.txt. Was that the name? Sorry, I have the memory of a goldfish, the memory span. Sentences for game.txt. Okay, cool. Oh, dot read. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put all these sentences into a list. Again, you can go over lists in the previous tutorial, the previous workshop, I should say. Okay, now what that is that that's a special character called a new line character. So what this is doing is that's creating a list called sentences, and it's creating a new index to store a new sentence in every time it comes across the new line character. And the new line character is something that's embedded in most text files unless it's formatted out. So even though you don't see that character in your text file, trust me, that's there. Okay, so now we're going to pick a random sentence. Right? So we're going to say sentence. Ooh, sentences. Let's make it a new variable. Sentence equals random dot choice from sentences. The reason why I named it sentence and not sentences is because sentences is something different. It's our list of sentences. All right, so we'll go ahead and return the singular sentence. Okay, cool. So we're not returning the whole list. We're just returning one random element from that list. Each element is a sentence. All right, so now what we can do is, the big one. Show results. So definition show results. We're self keyword because it's part of the class. We're actually going to need our screen to show the results onto. And what we're going to say is if the game is not ended, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the time. All right, so time calculation. And this is going to be our total. We're going to take our total time. We're going to make that set to the variable time with the time function minus the starting time. And then now we're going to do calculate the accuracy. And this is where we go over compare that one-to-one comparison. So we're going to use a for loop. For I, X, let's just name it C. The source code has C in it, so that way you guys don't get confused. No space. And enumerate. If you don't know what enumeration is, or the concept of it, just go ahead and look up a quick tutorial. Or a quick video on YouTube. It's pretty neat. Pretty much what you do, enumeration, what the concept is pretty much, is that you place values like numerical values on things that normally don't have them. So that's how you can keep like track of stuff. So Now I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. We're going to create a try and catch statement, but in Python is try except. So what we're going to try is if self.input, input text, remember our variable, I equals what the user typed in, which is C, count plus 1, right? Things that we're going to keep track of. Except so in case they don't do that, we're just going to ignore it. Now, outside of this if statement, we're going to set our accuracy to the result of that. Got to multiply it by 100 to get a whole number. Then calculate words per minute. And what this is going to be is we're going to measure our input text times 60 seconds divided by 5 times self.total time. This calculation just works. Trust me. I trusted someone else with this calculation, so it works. Okay, and now we're going to print the total time. This will print to the console, not on the screen. Just for us to kind of like error check. Now we're going to say time plus the string. We're going to round it. We're going to round the results of self.total time. And then we're going to say seconds of accuracy. I'll just say accuracy. And again, we're going to round this value up. And then what was our last? Well, let's add a percentage sign. Oh, words per minute. Okay. We're going to round this guy as well. This value, I should say. And what was our variable called? I think it was just WPM, right? Words per minute. Let me check. Yeah, WPM. Okay, cool. Oh man, seems like we're typing up a storm, right? But we're almost done. We're almost done. This is a pretty short tutorial. Let's see, oh, actually we're 35 minutes in. Okay, so I mean workshops are usually an hour, so bear with me. All right, so where are we at? We made the result. So now we got to draw the icon, right? And draw me that keyboard. Draw a keyboard icon. Do you guys remember how to make the images? Oh, you guys can't let me know because it's a one-way video recording here. But what we're going to do is we're going to have time image equals that image dot load. And what do we name our image, our keyboard image? Keyboard icon. Okay. Keyboard icon.jpg. Okay. And then now we got to transform it. So that time image, we need a comma actually, and then we need our set value. But this one we're not gonna scale it to the whole window, because it's supposed to be just like a button. You know what I mean? So let's do 100 or 125 by 125. And then this is some Pygame syntax right here that you have to do. So again, with another mathematical formula here. You know what? If it's 75, we should probably change the value. Let me change this to 150 because we're doing 75. Because 75 times 2 is 150. Probably scale a little bit better. It won't look distorted. Okay, so draw text. And we're going to draw it on our screen. And what are we going to draw on the button? Let's say restart. Self.h minus 10 for the location of the restart word, the width, and then the color. Again, these colors are arbitrary. You can make them whatever you want. And then just for debugging, we're going to print the results onto the console. And then pygame.display.update. Cool. So now what are we going to do? We're going to do the run function. And this one's like kind of like what brings it all together almost in a way. After that, we would just do Recite Game. So this one's a little tedious because we have to really look at indentation. That's why I'm minimizing all these functions. That way it's easier to debug in case you guys have issues with the indentation. You guys can refer back to this and just look how everything lines up. Because Python relies on indentation for its code blocks, not brackets or parentheses. So right at the gate is part of our class. So self. All right, now self.recite game, which we haven't made yet, but we will. And what are we going to do? We're going to say self running true, because obviously we're running the game in our run function. So we're going to set the running to true, which before it was false, I believe. And then while self.running, whenever you do a condition with a Boolean, in Python it automatically compares it for being true. So if you want to check this to be false, you will put while not running, right? So while running is true. We have a variable called clock, and this is going to be our game clock. Pygame dot time.clock. Okay, self dot screen, and we are going to fill this screen with these colors. This is RGBA. You can mess around with these colors just to make your graphics look a little bit different. Okay, I'm missing one here for the fill function. All right. Okay, cool. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. And then Pygame draw. We're going to draw that rectangle. Instance of our screen and our header. Oh, there it is. And then now colors. Let's match the colors. So 250, 650, and 50. And you know what? Let me make these match. Just a 2 in there. That's part of the rectangle, the draw rectangle Pygame function. So now we're going to update the text or refresh text and set color of user input. So this was kind of like populate our rectangle, right? So we're gonna draw the text onto the screen. And what we're drawing is input text from the user. 274, 26. These are sizes 156, 10, 152. Okay, and then we're going to update our display, right? Like whenever the user inputs something, we want to update the screen. Okay, now here's where it gets our game loop, right? So let me type that in. Game loop. So for event is arbitrary. You can name it whatever you want. Pygame.event.get. So it checks for what event's currently going on, almost kind of like a switch statement. So if event.type equals Pygame.quit, what are we going to do? So these event types, they are in the documentation of Pygame. I'm not going to go over them because, as you guys notice, it's a fairly long tutorial. So you guys can read up on what each Pygame attribute does when it correlates to type. And then you'll see, I mean, honestly, it's just kind of like start, stop kind of functionality. So running equals false. And then we're going to exit. So what this is saying is when Pygame detects the event to quit, you're going to set your variable running, your boolean, to false, and then you're just going to exit the game. That's all. Else if event.type is to Pygame mouse button up, meaning the user's not clicking the mouse, and the XY position for that mouse is within the window. Position of input box. So what we're doing here is that we're checking to see if the user is within the window of the game. And then we're gonna say as long as X is within the boundaries of our window. Looking for the greater than symbol. Come on. There we go. 650 was it? It's not exactly our window size. We want it a little bit smaller than the window because we don't want it to register even when they're like on the edge of the window. We want the mouse to really be in there. Okay, 250 and Y greater than, oh my goodness, there we go, 300. What's going to happen? Well, if the user is within the mouse, the user's mouse is within the window and the game is running, we're going to set active to true. Okay, and then we're going to start changing stuff. So input text. Nothing from the user yet, but we're going to start the timer. All right. Okay, but what if they're not in the box? Set some parameters. Again, you can change these and mess around with them, have some fun. Maybe like troll people that you want to show the game to. That's a fun programming. Like simple beginning Pygame tutorial is you create a window with just a button, and the point of the game is you challenge the user to click the button, but every time they get close to it and they click, the button reappears somewhere else. So it's kind of like a troll game, you know. I should have probably done that one. That one would have been faster. But that's a fun one. You should look it up. It's really fun. For like a minute. All right, so sorry. Just thinking back on my frustration with people and them not appreciating Pygame. All right, so what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna reset the game. All right, if the player is not within the window, no, let's make sure that the game is not running. All right. So now we're going to go one level out, and we're going to check for a different event. And this time, the event type, if the user is pushing keys down on the keyboard, what are we going to do? Well, first we check if the game's active, right? And we want to make sure that the game's both active and the game hasn't ended. Sounds kind of redundant, but trust me, it's not. Because the game could end and be active at the same time, and vice versa. The game could be active, but maybe it's at the end of the game. You don't want the game to just like randomly restart. Okay, so event.key equals Pygame dot k return. Again, hit up that documentation for the explanation. That way, this video can try to be under an hour. We're printing the input text to the console, right? And then we're showing the results on the screen. And let's print the results on the console. And then we're going to draw that text on our screen. Then we're going to give it the number attributes. Then we're going to set the color of the results. And then we're going to end the game. So pretty much as soon as you see the results as a user, you know that the game's over. But what if they press backspace? Because we're not checking for backspace. Backspace is not in our text file. Can't be. So Pygame luckily has a key variable, a key function that searches for the backspace if it's pressed. Right, so here what we're saying is if they press return, right, then the game's over. It measures your accuracy, it displays the result message if they press enter. If they press backspace though, well, you want to allow them to correct their mistake, right? You want to let them go back a letter. So input text. We're going to slice this list -1. So we want to go, let's say they're typing result C. If they're at C, we want to access the input text, but from the last variable back. Else what? What's going to happen? We're going to try self.input text plus equals event.unicode. Again, something specific to Pygame. Wouldn't look into it too much, just know that we need it for now. On your free time, just go ahead and read up on it if you desire. This is the part I don't like. Okay, so we gotta figure out where that for loop is at, right? Because Pygame needs to be the result of the for loop. We can try it here for now, and then we can go back and debug it a little bit. That's what kind of sucks about like these really long functions, is that the indentation kind of becomes a pain. Oh, and then we want the clock to be measured in seconds of 60. Not 60 seconds, but in denomination of 60. Okay, so now finally we have Recite Game, right? Which is our last one because the game's over and we want to play it again. Is that right? The indentation is throwing me off still. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's right. I mean, we're going to figure it out, right? We're going to... The indentation is not... It's not correct. The game's not going to run. Okay, so... Now what? This one's pretty straightforward. So self.screen dot blitz, which is self dot open image. We're gonna just flash that image on the screen. We're not gonna really do anything to it. And then we're gonna update the display. Then we're gonna allow the program to sleep for 1 second. And then we'll set reset to false to avoid an infinite loop, and reset to end. I'm sorry, and to false as well. Okay. And then now we gotta just reinstantiate all of our variables, right? So input text is no longer gonna have anything in it because input text is a list. And then self.word. It's not gonna have anything in it. And time start. Again, just resetting everything. Total time. Words per minute. But here's where it doesn't reset everything. We're resetting the game, meaning it's gonna run again, right? So we want all of our variables to be empty. But likewise, we want to load a new sentence, right? So get a random sentence. So, self.word equals self.getSentence. And then if not self-word, self.resetGame. So if we can't get a word, we're going to reset it again until we can. Now we're going to draw the heading. Again, because we reset the game, so we got to do everything all over again. And then we're going to split the screen with our background. What do we name background? No, background. Yeah, BG. Oh, that's weird. The auto completion didn't pick it up. That is really weird. Okay. All right. So what are we gonna do now? Self dot. Actually, no. It's our message. And our message is going to be typing in space, right? Now we're going to draw the text on the screen. Our message. 80. 80. I mean, I guess you can change these. Just just for the heck of it, you know? That way, every time the game restarts, maybe like the text changes colors or it changes positions. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw the rectangle for the input box. All right. So Pygame, you guys remember? Draw rectangle. I'm just messing with you guys. I was actually questioning myself to see if I remembered. 228. And then the color, right? And then let's update this display. Okay, and now we exit. And outside of the class, we just call it. Okay, so that's the last thing, right? Call our game class. Create a new instance of it. Call our run method from our game. I believe that is it. So let's go ahead and test it out. We're a little bit over an hour, just a little bit. How you can run it is Python, and the name of our game is tappinggame.python. Press enter. Oh no, screen blit. Line 85. Ooh, right there. What is Tim? All right, let's go to 85. Tim. It's supposed to be time. All right. Another one, huh? Not that time. W. End of file while scanning string literal. End of file. Okay. 85. It's under show results. Okay, this is why. I'm trying to divide my variable by a random character. I want to divide it by half and then subtract 75 from that. Let's see if that was the issue there. No, that was not the issue, huh? Self.time. What's this? Yeah, what is that? That's not supposed to be there. Wow, that line just had typos. Sorry about that. There we go. Cool. Uh-oh. So line 158 game.run is calling game.run, and line 91, the function run self.reset game. 146 self.word equals self.sentence get sentence. Line 58 get sentence f whatever file not found, no such file or directory. Okay, so that is in line 58 get sentence. So I must have misspelled the file name. Oh yeah, see, it's missing the N right there. I actually misspelled the file when I named the file. Rip. Sorry about that, guys. This tends to happen, nothing ever runs first time around. And if you do, I mean, if it does, then congratulations. Oh, come on. Okay, let's see. So what's going on now? So line 91, 154. Draw a rectangle. Function takes 4 arguments, but I gave 5. Uh-oh. And that is in Recite Game. Line 91. Pygame, draw rectangles. So that screen, self.word, 228. And then the color, and that is in Recite Game, huh? So I initiated it with an extra variable. Yeah, but the last one is a color though. So Recite Game. So we draw our text. We draw our rectangle. Okay. Screw this one up. Obviously, right? So we gotta do the color. Because before we did it like this. And now there we're here, we actually gotta draw the text again. Okay. Let's see if that does it. All right, we're up and running. Cool. So here's the game. So as you see our title, hello, how's it going? All right, so you have to click in the box and type it out fast. But the problem here is that as soon as you click in the box, the timer starts, right? So now, here we go. Unbound local error, variable count, reference before assignment. Okay. So this is in line 76. Okay, so 159, and then line 120, which is the function. And run self.show results, self.screen. File, typing game.py, line 76, and show results. All right. So show results, it's a function, line 76. Self.accuracy equals count divided by length of the word times 100, unbound local error, variable count reference before assignment. So that means that we declared count after our sentence calculation. So right here. That is correct. Because right here we're using it, but I forgot to assign it. Great. Great, 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 great. This one's not a bug. This one's actually on me. Just like the other ones, right? Okay. So we blast off into space, and your PC is slow. Ooh, that backspace coming in though. Your PC is slow. Okay. Game object has no attribute time. I think on that one, show results 86. And it's not time that we're trying to blit to the screen. It's the image. Because we have an image named time image. Okay, so we're getting closer. So hello, how's it going? Bam, there we go. I can't really read the accuracy. I think it says 0 for everything, honestly. So we can fix that. But see the image of the keyboard, and then you click here to restart it. We blast off into space again, and now we stress our hate for Warzone. Okay, so time 0, accuracy 0. Okay, I think I know why. So let's close this window. And then see how on the console, it's not printing our stuff even though it's right here. Right? So that has to do with string. This one right here. But I think that's fine. Because that's our initial string, right? Because when we initiate the game, there's no way we can know that stuff. So it must be an error when we re-render. And I think we re-render where show results, right? So here, the error it's lying right here. Let's make it look a little bit prettier. Time, string round, total time, and accuracy. All right. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not printing it. Is it not declaring them? Or our calculation is wrong? Okay. Count equals 0. Go through our loop. We have another equation. Print total time. Because it does print the total time. See right here? That's the total time there. This is why. What's the name of our string? Results. It's supposed to be results. Oh my goodness. Typos. Typos, typos, typos. Let's see. Let's see if my suspicion was correct. Yay. There we go. Time 4 seconds. Let's change that. Let's change that so it's a little bit more readable. Result color, right? So let's go to a color picker. And something that would really stand out. No, it's RGBA. Let's do. What would stand out in space? Let's just do white. So 253, 220, 220. Where's Adam at? Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so your PC is slow. Oops, I clicked on the terminal. And notice how when I clicked outside of the window, the game restarted. Hello, how is it going? There we go. Now you can see it. So time 5 seconds, accuracy 100%, words per minute 55. RIP. Thought I could do better than that. Oh, I hate the sentence. RIP, RIP, RIP. Warzone. Oh my goodness. 33 words per minute. I'm getting worse. Anyways, well, that's it. We guys had fun. We went 20 minutes over because of all the debugging. Sorry about that. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this as much as it was to make. Like I said, the source code is going to be linked below, but it's buggy. What we just did, it's the source code working properly. Um, it was outdated, so I had to go through it and change a lot of stuff. Just little small changes to make sure that it works properly. And then there should be a link to the previous Python workshop. That way you can get comfortable with classes and comfortable with inheritance and a basic understanding of the Python syntax. Anyway, so thanks for watching, and hopefully you have fun, make some changes to the game, share with people. And that's it. All right, hope you guys have a good one.